Waiting. Don't we just love to wait? Waiting in line for your coffee, waiting for results from an exam, waiting for the doctor, waiting to use the washroom, waiting for the light to turn green, maybe just waiting for the day to be over. Waiting can be difficult, but we all know waiting is a part of life. My little one Seth, he's learning to wait for his turn to go down the slide, to wait for his turn in line, to wait for dinner to finish cooking. It's kind of funny how impatient we can be. I feel like even more so now that we live in an instant society that really hates waiting. It makes us feel uncomfortable. We get agitated. We want what we want and we want it now. In Luke chapter 2, we read about Simeon. Now, Simeon was a good man who tried hard to follow God's law. He has some things to teach us about waiting. He waited for something important for a long time. As days turned to months, months to years, he kept on waiting year after year until he was very old. And then he kept on waiting. He hung on for one reason. God had told him that he would not die before he had seen the Savior, the Messiah of Israel. He knew the prophecy for the coming Messiah, and every day watching and waiting at the temple for the promised one to show up. Simeon was eagerly waiting and looking for the Messiah. This Greek verb used here describes one who is waiting for something, for someone, with a sense of expectancy. Remember, before Jesus had arrived on scene, there had been no new revelations from God for 400 years. So Simeon was hopeful. He was expectant, even in the midst of waiting for his promise from God. He knew God was about to do something amazing. God was going to show up, and he just had to be patient. Then it happened. One day at the temple, Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus arrived. It was time for them to go to the temple in Jerusalem, where Mary would participate in a purification rite that all women who went through childbirth had to go through. And Jesus, being the firstborn, would be consecrated to God. As they entered the temple to fulfill their duty, an old man approaches them and takes their child in his arms and begins praising God. Sovereign Lord, now let your servant die in peace, as you have promised. I have seen your salvation, which you have prepared for all people. He is a light to reveal God to the nations, and he is the glory of your people, Israel. Simeon's song. Simeon held that baby, held Jesus, and thanked God for allowing him to see the child that would bring salvation for all people. Simeon was like, God, I'm ready to die. I've seen your plan. It's been worth the wait. I know that we all want God to move now, from just to show up whenever we want. Waiting for God to move can seem like forever, but we all need to ask ourselves this question. Is it worth the wait? While we are waiting for whatever it is our hearts long for, can we trust that he's in control, that he has a plan? Let's have the same attitude of Simeon, who he had all these years, hopeful, expectant, and ready for God to move. We are all waiting for something. Real hope is worth the wait.